I appreciate the opportunity to share my reflection about leadership in the age of AI. So, as now, why suddenly I decided to leave my corporate job of 30 years working for Pricewaterhouse, PwC, IBM, Ericsson, and then decided to do this? Because I felt very strongly about leadership and empowering others. Because I was born in a very small village in the outskirts of Calcutta, 100 kilometers outskirts of Calcutta. First 10 years I spent in the village.
So do you think it is becoming an issue with the society that people are getting more impatient and we are getting that kind of leaders also? I mean, like leaders will essentially come from society only, right? They will not come from Mars or somewhere.
So I'm thinking the early days when I became a leader, it was not I was given a title, you are the leader. How do you bring them all together and enable them to see their vision and the mission of the team in the and there my learning that from that time was, as I said, you don't wait for someone to give you the leadership role, you just assume it, right? And there's a partner sitting beside me and almost kind of looking at me, are you kidding, are you telling this to the client, right?
So, one question in this age of AI, do you think this AI bubble is going to go on or it's going to burst?
I'm very fortunate to work with great managers where the manager and the leader backed us up and took anything wrong on their shoulders sometime, shielded us, and when things were going right, projecting us saying that, okay, these are the guys who have done it all right. It is going to have a huge, huge impact overall. And that will also come to the workplace and how we adapt our leadership style, our team to that, and the relationship.
This, give me the names of top 5 leaders from various spheres of life. You can name anyone.
That's where the critical thinking comes, because when you look at the data, none of the data actually pointing towards that. So we'll have data driven decision making for sure, but critical thinking is going to be your superpower. That's the right thing. But in reality, it may not always happen that way because our ego comes in the way. Our security or lack of security comes in the way. Clarification. I don't think Elon Musk is a great leader, but he is a great that leadership leader. So don't wait, start leading.
Hello, everybody. This is Sudeep here. Welcome back to my channel once again. In today's podcast, I'm talking to Mr. Indranil Das, who is a corporate leader and has an experience of around 30 years in the corporate leadership world. In today's podcast, I talked to him about leadership in the age of AI. It has been a very engaging podcast where I personally have learned a lot of leadership traits from him. And if you are an aspiring leader of tomorrow, I hope you will also learn a few things from this podcast. But before we get started, I have just one request for you as usual. Please do like, share, and subscribe to this channel so that I get the motivation to keep bringing in such videos for you going forward. So having said that, enjoy the show. Thank you for coming on this podcast and giving me the opportunity to talk to you. You are one of my seniors in my industry as well. So thank you for giving me the time and the opportunity to talk to you. And we will talk about leadership in the age of AI in this podcast. So, as to start off, I'd like to start with asking you the question to tell our viewers about yourself, like how you started, about your childhood, and how did you get into leadership roles, and then what kind of challenges did you face in your early life, and so on and so forth, right? So that our viewers get to know you a little bit better.
Sure. Sudeep, first of all, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, to talking to you and also to the viewers here. I appreciate the opportunity. to share my reflection about leadership in the age of AI. So, as you requested, I'll try to make it brief because if I start talking about the life and career, it will take hours. So, I'll make it brief. Um, the way I would like to go about it is that I will give you the connection. Who am I today? And the connection back to my childhood. Right? So, today, as you know, I have started my own organization, Leaderian, a year back. Leaderian just completed first year anniversary. And Leaderian is all about empowering mid-career professionals. And we have a mission of empowering and enabling 10,000 next generation leaders and teams in next 10 years. Now, why suddenly I decided to leave my corporate job of 30 years working for Pricewaterhouse, PwC, IBM, Ericsson, and then decided to do this? Because I felt very strongly about leadership and empowering others, because that's a common theme all throughout my career. And I get immense joy in enabling people and organizations. So whatever role I have done, be it Pricewaterhouse, be it IBM, Ericsson, always I equated my success not just with whatever I have done in the role. When I leave the role, how that organization sustain that momentum thereafter. So it's just not about me being there in the role and doing a great job with the team and building a right team and culture, but also how they're able to sustain. And that happens when you work with people, you work on the core of the culture of the organization, bring the right culture of customer focus and good teaming, collaboration, people centric attitude, but having your 100% focus on the customer. So that's the kind of culture I built. And I believe now it's high time we also take it to a lot more organization. And that's why I created the Leaderian organization here. And why I'm so passionate about enabling and learning and sharing my learning and enabling and empowering others, that goes back to my childhood. I was born in a very small village in the outskirts of Calcutta, 100 kilometers outskirts of Calcutta. First 10 years I spent in the village. It was great childhood there. First 10 years, I used to go to a primary school, which is in the we used to stay in the first floor. The primary school was in the ground floor of the same building, and then we had all the activities, playing all the time, lovely, and then the riverside and everything, as you can imagine in a village. And then at the age of 10 or 11, I went to Narendrapur Ramakrishna Mission. I'm thankful to my parents to send me there. And then next 8 years, I was there in the boarding school, Ramakrishna Mission, which is the outskirts of Calcutta. Fantastic time. Whoever I am today is because of that early childhood and my grooming with Narendrapur Ramakrishna Mission. So, so that's a little bit about me. I don't want to bore you to death with other. There are many things I can say, but this is a kind of give you an idea, right? Why I'm passionate. And by the way, one thing, my father and mother both are professor and teacher. So some of those imparting learning to others and teaching, coaching, empowering others, it can stems from there as well. Yeah.
Okay, that's a great story to know. I wish you can be little bit more detailed about your leadership journey as I go on asking more questions. And like we have around some time, right? So we can go into little bit more details also if you wish to. Okay. So one question for you is that the first leadership role you got in your career till the time you quit your job and started your new venture, right? How has your leadership philosophy changed over time? Or actually, did it change at all or not?
Okay, very good question. So I'm thinking the early days when I became a leader, it was not a I was given a title, you are the leader. There are situations, Even starting with my first program or project, I was sent to one of the Tata companies in Jamshedpur as a junior member of the team. But within 6 7 months, after just before and after the go live, most of the team members left, and somehow found out that I am the person, and there are a few others. So I had to take a leadership role. I just assumed the leadership role. No one gave me the title, right? And many times I believe we wait for others to tell us you are a leader with the title. To me, leadership is not that. Anyone can be leader, and that stayed on with me throughout my career, and that actually has not changed. Okay, if you see, as I grew in my career, of course, I had larger teams, bigger teams. Another thing has not changed or had not changed is that my connection with the team. I always considered my team like we are in it together. We have a strong vision. We work with a vision and a mission for the team, and we are out there to make a difference to our clients and to our team members. So that has not changed. Now, of course, because when we started, let's say back in 95 to 2000, it was more about you go to the client site, right? And then many times you are in front of the client day in, day out, because there is no this remote work, etc. Then we started doing remote work starting 2000, right? So that's a kind of, you have to adjust your leadership to that, right? Then we came to later part, let's say around COVID and just before, it's a hybrid working. Part of the team remote and part of the team not. And then, of course, I started managing global teams, whether it's in the Middle East, Africa, 68 countries, managing the PNL there, or global setup with all the global members of my team. So you start understanding the cultural nuances, and how to adapt to various cultures, you have, even in the same team, you have people. So for example, I give an example on my last role, with my previous organization. I was managing a team where I had team member from US, Canada, Italy, Spain, Sweden, India, Middle East. So the culture would be quite different. How do you bring them all together and enable them to see their vision and the mission of the team in the right context? And how do you communicate with each other? So that is very, very important, because not everyone will have a same level of communication. How do you build that team, the glue, with the right kind of binding of relationship and trust when people come from different culture and different countries? So that's something immensely important today in the organization. Okay, so there are some things, as I said, has not changed, and there are some things as we kind of grew with the career and the more global, of course, the global culture and how you adapt to that. That is always a new learning.
Okay, so the question now is that throughout your career, 30 years, right? Obviously, you have learned some very big lessons and some lessons which have shaped you as a person as well in your personal life, like leadership lessons. Because I understand that when your wife is around, you do not get to fulfill that leadership role at home, but in office you do, right? So that's the funny part. Uh, but what is the biggest lesson in terms of leadership that you have learned throughout your career that we can learn from you through your words today? And like, what was the incident behind that made you learn that lesson?
Okay. So maybe I'll pick few incidents from various parts of my career. Maybe that will make it more, and I'll give you the story or a backstory, right? So let's start with early in my career. I already mentioned that I went to a project and became a leader by de facto, like a by chance, accidental leadership, as you can call it. Uh, and there, my learning that from that time was, as I said, you don't wait for someone to give you the leadership role; you just assume it, right? And just continuing on that, I remember, and it was, I think it is Pricewaterhouse, and that time we were doing a big project in US. Okay, and we are doing some project with SAP. SAP is the ERP software, and that time it was very new. And suddenly, due to a situation, that project was stopped, and we are doing actually from India. A lot of people, close to 100 people involved in that project, and project was stopped. And everyone started thinking what to do. People started worrying too much about themselves and what will happen to the organization, started updating resume and sending it to the headhunters, etc. Then I did something. I actually looked at that as an opportunity not for myself, for the organization, because we are already doing SAP and SAP is something new. I actually started connecting with the global PW special interest group on some of the SAP topics. And actually, by connecting with them, we created more opportunity for the organization. Again, I did not wait for someone to ask me to do it. And then later on, some of the US partners started writing to me. Then our partners in Pricewaterhouse House actually noticed that. And then kind of we brought it together as a center of excellence. So that learning stayed on with me throughout my career. Don't wait for things to fall in place. Just go ahead and do it. And you can ask for forgiveness if something is wrong. But don't wait for anyone, your senior or anyone, to tell you what to do. Just go ahead and do it if you feel it's the right thing to do for the organization. Right? Then I'll not always glorify it. Everything is a success. Right? There are even failures. I remember, for example, in IBM, we have been immensely successful with a SAP practice. Um, and later on, I had global roles for some of the sector delivery leader role. In one cases, actually, we had a situation where the client was extremely unhappy with us. And I'll not name the client because I want to also respect the confidentiality. As per client, we are not delivering. And some of the projects you take is more of a managed service where you actually take over the client team. And incidentally, this was an US client, you take over client team, but they actually define the getting criteria for ending the transition and going ahead in a steady state. It was supposed to happen in 4 or 5 months. It was already 7 8 months. We're not going anywhere because there is a lot of passive aggression uh, and resistance. But you cannot say that to the client. No one wants to do that because it will ruin the relationship. And we are making losses, huge losses there. No one wants to take the accountability for that. So finally, my senior management pushed me to go and talk to the US client. So I went actually to US to talk to the client, the vice president of the client. And everyone thought that would be a disaster and it will be out of the account. When I went there, I saw that, like we are sitting here, he has the back of his chair or desk, he has this Formula One car racing, right? And then I remember when they came to India, we had a discussion about Formula One during the dinner table. So I said, okay, I remember we talked about that. And so are you still following? Who is winning the race, etc. So we kind of do an icebreaker with that. And then from there, gradually we went to the discussion because we had that relationship kind of commonality already built. Then actually I could tell him that what is happening on the ground, that his team actually pushing back, they are not ready for the change. And there was a partner sitting beside me and almost kind of looking at me. Are you kidding? Are you telling this to the client? But I said, look, I am talking to another human being. We should talk about. I think that was a turning point for that account. But otherwise, we would be out of that account. But that was the turning point. So again, it would be a failure. And in another case, actually, we did not do that, where actually the contract was terminated in another case because we did not do that. We actually stayed away from the client. So that's a big learning for me, Sudeep, that when many times we look at the client and other stakeholders as a someone hierarchical, like a higher in hierarchy, and but when you start connecting at a human to human level, magic happens. You make things possible. Okay. So those are a few. There are more stories, but
Yeah,
go
yeah,
on.
definitely. 30 years in corporate, I'm sure there are innumerable stories to tell. Yeah, so one of the things I always wondered is that when you are leading a large team, right? And in order to be a good leader, you need to build a certain amount of, I should not say certain amount, full trust from the team towards you, and you also should be trusting your team to deliver, right? So, and trust is not built in a day, right? And it requires time, effort, and like patience, everything. So I'm sure you have come across many such situations where you have built up those that kind of a trust over a period of time, and the team delivered excellently well after that trust, that there is a leader who will stand behind me in times of need. When I fail, I look behind and my leader is standing behind me saying that you should fail, otherwise you will not learn. So I'm sure you have such situations. So my question is, how do you build that trust? Is there an easy way to build that trust quickly, or it takes time as it's a natural process? Can you like tell us more about it?
I don't think say it takes time or anything. I think you have to walk the talk. So suppose to the you are my manager, let's say, right? You are telling me, Indranil, I'll back you up. You go ahead and do it. I am there for you. And the next day, if I am doing something, even if it is wrong, if you come and start beating me up, then then it's not a walk the talk, right? Actually, when you say, so for example, when I say someone to someone that okay, you just go ahead and do it, you have the full authority, and I'll back you up. I have to walk the talk and ensure that I demonstrate that behavior. When things go wrong, I I understand what's happening. At the same time, I don't beat up the person. I look at the issues and then work with the person to make sure the person understands and doesn't do the same mistake again and feel supported in that. And that will require everyone, any leader, to understand the perspective of others. The moment we start judging the other person and with our filters and biases, it is not going to work out. Right? I'll give you example. So one of my, he was not my direct manager, my manager's manager. We were having an escalation from a client from US. In the morning, India morning time, we had a discussion, including that senior person. And he said, okay, Indranil, fine. So I understand your point of view. So just go ahead and say all this. I'll back you up during the meeting. And the meeting is happening the same day or same evening. Went into the meeting, and initially I started saying something, and then of course our US colleagues was all over me. They are not liking what I am saying. I am expecting that person to back me up. Suddenly I saw that person is out on the other side of the table with the investor. To lose entire trust. And still I remember that. That might have happened maybe 15, 16 years back or more than that. I still remember that. On the other hand, there are other examples where I'm very fortunate to work with great managers where the manager and the leader backed us up and took anything wrong on their shoulders sometime, shielded us, and when things were going right, projecting us saying that okay, these are the guys who have done it. So I gave you both the examples, right? So and What I'm essentially saying, Sudip, is that it's about, as a leader, you walking the talk, you make whatever promises or whatever you are telling your team, make that a reality. And the moment team started seeing that, you're really backing them up, you are actually living by the same team norms and principle that you have crafted together, I think the relationship automatically builds up.
So, in such situations when people do not walk the talk, right? As a junior member of the team, what would you advise them to do? Do they quit? Do they look for change in job, project? I mean, how do actually people handle such situations? Because I know of people who get traumatized, like when their managers misbehave or do not walk the talk or things like that. Especially with the new generation, the generations, like what do you call it, the generation Z or whatever they are calling it. So they are so impatient and all that. So what is your advice to them, that how to handle such situations? Because these are kind of toxic situations, right?
I think it's a big issue in the organizations today, this toxic work culture. I'm hearing more and more of it. For example, I was talking to someone earlier today, and that person said his manager uh, is very sarcastic in his remark, and that creates an impact on the individual, as an example. There's another thing I heard yesterday where, because of the current situation, someone created something, but his manager, or in this case, her manager, actually criticized her for doing whatever that proactive work she did. And you know what happened later on? That manager started showcasing that same work to higher authority, higher management, as if it is his own work. Okay, these are real situation I am talking about. Now, if you think about the person, whether it's the lady or the gentleman who are facing this kind of issue, and if they cannot change that manager, the organization, and they cannot go higher up, I think they have to look for options, unfortunately. And that's the case in many organizations today, where because of the current situation and the lack of good managers and leadership, people are looking out for options. Sometimes they are not able to do that for whatever reason they are stuck, but they are not able to keep their full focus on the work, and then they are trying to manage the politics and this toxicity in a different way. And there are burnouts happening. So I don't say it's a easy solution, but this toxic work culture is becoming a challenge more and more, given the current situation of the industry with the AI, geopolitics. There are a lot of changes coming in. Some of the middle management and some of the early senior leaders or senior leaders, they are at risk. So they are trying to protect, and by doing, and these are the the manifestation of that protection when they take their junior members' job and show it as their own work. Some cases, sometimes demean the team. Is quite a difficult situation. I believe we need to be more vocal about some of the incidents happening, and create more awareness, create more support group in the industry. And this is one of the things gradually at Leader Union we will also focus or start focusing on, how to enable the individuals to take up some of this discussion in the proper way in the organization, and if not, what they can do, giving that kind of a support as well.
So do you think it is becoming an issue with the society that people are getting more impatient, and we are getting that kind of leaders also? I mean, uh, like leaders will essentially come from society only, right? They will not come from Mars or somewhere. So uh, maybe some kind of upbringing issue, maybe some kind of societal issue. As you rightly said, AI and geopolitics played a large part, but I have seen people change also over time. They have been wonderful people like before, but I don't know what happened and suddenly they changed. So I think it's more to do with society. Like, would you agree?
So you said couple of things. So first of all, you mentioned about being impatient as a other leaders becoming more impatient, right? I personally believe, Shruti, leaders need to be impatient to some extent because if you are not impatient, you are not challenging the status quo enough. So little bit of impatience is not bad. Impatience is not the toxicity. Toxicity is something else, right? Uh, I think the societal impact, you are talking societal impact, is it like the society is changing, the demography is changing, so we are now getting to the multi-generational workforce with a different kind of a mindset, right? If you see the Gen Z or Gen Alpha, they are born digital native, right? So their world is more digital compared to some of the earlier generation, Gen X and others, is more physical and physical plus digital. Physical first, then digital. Gen Z, Gen Alpha, digital first or digital native or mostly digital, right? So how do you interact? How do you kind of have your styles adapted to that generation is important. Okay. So I think some of these changes happening with the generational shift, the multi-generational workforce with a different kind of mindset, AI and technology, the geopolitics, and more people kind of started focusing on that, but it will come back is the sustainability and climate. These are huge changes happening, and that will impact how we work together and how we live also in our life. It is going to have a huge impact overall, and that will also come to the workplace and how we adapt our leadership style, our team to that, and the relationship.
Okay. So, can you paint a picture for our viewers as to how leadership will look, say, 5 to 10 years down the line? AI is in full flow, and maybe most of the decisions are based on AI driven things, AI driven data, and all that, and human intuition. Because I believe leadership is some amount of gut feeling also. This guy can do it, this guy cannot do it. I have some kind of a gut feeling, right? Based on that, some leaders take decisions. With AI coming in, everything with data driven, and I mean, very structured. So, do you see 5, 10 years down the line leadership evolving, and there is not much involvement from human side in terms of feelings, caring, and then empathy, all those going out, and maybe only data driven decision making?
I I have a different point of view. So let's say today, Sudhir, are you by the way, are you a manager or a leader or are you managing a team, Sudhir, if I may ask?
Yeah, I have been, but right now I'm individual contributor.
Okay. But assume a manager in today's world, how much time a manager is spending on administrative tasks. And what I mean by administrative task is that you actually doing task allocation, you are following up on the task, you are asking for status, meetings, MOM, you are approving leaves, you are doing their career management levers. But suppose this administrative task, I said, right? How much time in terms of percentage you think a manager is spending today on those? Any idea?
I mean, most of the time, people managers are doing that only. They do not
Yes.
get into the technical stuff and day to day, like delivery stuff.
So that you are almost saying it's almost 100% they're doing that. Okay, that's maybe an extreme. There was a McKinsey study, and it actually went through a lot of data point. 69% of a manager's or leader's time today are devoted to those administrative tasks. The task allocation, follow up, reporting, MOM, and all this. Today, any meeting we sit together, you can do a transcript and do a MOM automatically, whether it's Gemini or Copilot or whatever, right? You don't need a manager or anyone to write them. Task allocation can be done automatically, right? You can have a human in the loop, but it can be largely done automatically. Follow up, automatic follow up. All these are automated. So the 69% of the time managers are doing are not required. And in the same study, McKinsey highlighted that after, and you are talking about what the future is only less than 10 or around 11% of those tasks would be required of managers' time, right? So what managers or leaders should do then? You talked about digital decision making and all this, right? So I'll come back to that. You also talked about would we have so much of digitized decision? Is the empathy, connect, those would be less. My view is, on the contrary, that would be the more. So all this decision making, etc., is going to be important, but managerial administrative task is going to reduce, and you have much more focus that would be required in terms of connecting with the team in the new environment. And your team going forward in the future, 5 years, 7 years down the line, for a particular team is just not the human being. You have a human worker and a digital agent. So part of your process would be done by the digital agents, part of the process done by the human worker. Now, how do you manage that relationship? You need more empathy. You need more connect with your team, uh, because it would be a big change. How you adapt to that change, and not and the way the changes are happening today, every 3.5 months, the capability of AI, LLMs, and overall AI tools are getting 100% better. The change is so fast. So how do you adapt to that changes faster? And that will require a lot of empathy, a lot of learning, curiosity, and talking about decision making. Whether some of the decision also will happen like automated with the data, everything, but you still need a high degree of focus on critical thinking. Because ultimately, the data point will give you some ideas, but it is the critical thinking will help you make better decisions. Okay. So, for example, I kind of maybe this example would be a good one. In one of the manufacturing shop, they have a 24 by 7, three shifts, and they suddenly found, and this is a data point, right? So we're talking about data driven decision, that in the night shift, their quality is lower. There are more defects coming in the night shift. Okay. So now, if you look at this, so your first question will be maybe they have lesser capable people in the night shift. That could be one issue or one challenge. Second challenge could be perhaps they do not have ready access to the supervisor in the night shift. The third could be people are not actually working; they are just moving around, not focused. There will be n number of reasons, right? If you look at all those data points, you almost have a biased view already that this is what is happening. But you know what was the actual reason of the lower quality? Can you guess in that manufacturing unit? If I have requested you to guess, any idea? You know, the issue was the raw material they used to procure in the morning, and by the evening, it is waiting in the warehouse. So for those batches is already more than 12 hours when they put that raw material, and this is a perishable long raw material. So by the time they put it there, it's already kind of not so good quality. Right? That's where the critical thinking comes, because when you look at the data, none of the data actually pointing towards that. So we'll have data-driven decision making for sure, but critical thinking is going to be your superpower going forward. Connect with other human being and communication, collaboration, connect overall with human digital together. That would be a superpower. Curiosity and learning would be a superpower, right? And of course AI and digital and data literacy. So so I almost feel like less focus on administrative, more focus on your leadership qualities, curiosity, learning, critical thinking, and connect. That would be good. That's what's the nature of the workforce and demand of the workforce of people.
Okay. So the next question for you is, in this AI age of like disruption, people are afraid about losing jobs and all that. So as a leader, how do you keep your workforce motivated so that they perform and keep them ahead of the race? I know there are companies who are training people, reskilling and all that, but still that fear remains. And if you look at the recent market trends where people are being actually laid off like left, right and center, so there is tremendous fear. So as a leader, how do you handle those situations rather than giving people empty promises? नहीं नहीं कुछ नहीं होगा, चल करते हैं, ऐसा नहीं, right? So how do you handle such situations?
And people are already seeing it, right? You see what's the latest announcement from TCS, because TCS was open about it, but there are many other companies, right? So people are seeing it. It's the layoff happening. We need to be ready for the future. Those are the corporate jargon, right? But essentially, that means that the more work getting automated, we need less workforce. That's the reality, right? Very important, Sudhir, is that not to hide behind all this corporate jargon. As a leader, the leader needs to take the team on the journey, help them truly upskill their capability. It's very, very important. Work with them, help them to upskill their capability, and be very transparent about some of the decisions going to be made, not creating panic, but taking it as a challenge, helping them on their upskilling and capability development, also putting the onus back on them to ensure they do it, but organization of the leader is going to support, and be very clear about the team's vision going forward, how that would be. And that may mean there will be lesser workforce, but at the same time there could be more opportunity as well. So I think today what is happening, many leaders and organizations are kind of painting a picture, making AI the villain without giving any route ahead or path forward, hiding behind these corporate jargons. We have to drive efficiency, etc., or macroeconomic situation, geopolitical tension, and all. These are all real. This will keep happening. Very important to create a very strong vision for the team and organization. Explain that to the team, taking the team in the journey forward together. There is no other solution for it.
So one question in this age of AI, do you think this AI bubble is going to go on or it's going to burst?
Okay.
What's
Why
your
you
prediction?
why you say AI bubble? What's behind that?
Because there are studies that are saying that projects are not succeeding with implementation of AI. I'm not going into the details, but there are studies from different consultants and companies, right, which has come up. And I have heard CEOs also very skeptical now to invest in AI and come up with something fruitful. They think that might work, might not work. that let's give it some more time and see. So all these things are happening, right? So do you think it's going to go on and make the life better, or maybe it will ruin some lives, or people who have invested huge amount of money into AI and learned and things all that, and they have to go back to their old ways? Like, what's your thought?
It's a wonderful, wonderful question, Surit. And incidentally, I was reading uh, one of the articles in the Economist today, exactly on this topic, right? And I don't remember the source of the research. They actually looked at the 20 such phenomena over the last 150 or 200 years, including the railroad in Britain, to the digital acceleration with COVID and many years. So 20 such. Okay, the internet bubble of 2000 and all this, like all the technology driven bubble. Let's say, be it railroad, be it digital, be it internet, and be it other things AI. So one thing is very clear. Even today, we have railroad. There was a railroad bubble, and that was one of the top three bubble in the history of last 200 years. But railroad is still there. A lot of people actually lost money during that time, but and railroad is still there, right? Similar thing happened 1870s with the telephone. Uh, there was a bubble. Telephone is still there in a different way, right? Is essential part. Same with electricity, essential part, another bubble, right? So the question is if AI will not be there or not there, AI will be there. Okay. Is this a bubble? For sure, this is a bubble. Why this is a bubble? Everyone is trying to join the bandwagon, and 95% of the AI projects or Gen AI projects are not giving benefit to the organization today. And there are multiple reasons for that. I'm not going to get there. But AI will be there and it will further evolve. And the capability will continue to evolve. So, to answer your question, is there a bubble? Yes, there is a bubble. Is Do we have to then whatever we have learned AI? We have to unlearn AI because we'll go back to the previous ways of working. My response is no, because AI will not only be there; it will further evolve and be very, very, very useful technology like the railroad, like the electricity, like the telephony and mobile telephony.
So, coming back to your leadership role, can you tell us what happens as a leader if you fail? Do you go on apologizing to your team, stand up, put your hand up saying that, hey, I failed and I need help to learn things and do it in a new way? So, is that what a leader should be doing? Or he should be saying, no, no, I didn't fail. It is because you guys made me fail, something like that, right? So,
You're
what
you're
is
you're almost you're almost giving the answer to the question always already.
yeah, yeah,
Right?
because I have seen people do that, and you have also come up with one example like that. But I want you to elaborate on if you have come across such situations. Tell us one or two stories, maybe for our viewers.
Look, is you know what is the right thing to do? The right thing to do is the kind of own up the failure as a leader, and then shield your team. Rather, work with your team. Also, kind of motivate them. It's not their failure. The failure could be the situational, circumstantial, and so on. Explain, but also with a very high focus on learning from there and move forward. That's the right thing to do. But in reality, it may not always happen that way because our ego comes in the way. Our security or lack of security comes in the way. Right? Situation comes in the way. So although these are the right things to do, not always a person would be able to do it. And as I said, it's very easy to say this is the right way. As I said, like a take the ownership, stand up for the team, work with the team, do a lessons learned, and move forward from there. But it's not always easy.
Last few questions for you, sir. One thing I have always admired is that one of the areas where I see a lot of leadership quality and we can learn a lot of things from them is our military organization, right? So they fight for each other, to the guy to the left, for the guy to the left, for the guy to the right when they go into war. But in corporate environment, we fight that how we can undermine the guy on the left, the guy on the right, and we can move forward in our career ladder. So why does this happen? Is this because of the fear of death?
Uh, I don't think it's a fear of death. I think it's a common mission. They have a common mission. The army, the competition is not within the unit. Competition is your enemy. So you have a focus which is outside your entity, and you are trying to be better together and win the game or the war together, right? Because if I am able to win by myself is not going to be important, because you can win by yourself but you can still lose the game, right? Like you can score two double hundred in a cricket match but your team loses because others are not, you are not working together as a team, right? You can score three goals and end up losing the World Cup as well, right? So it's a team game, and when you have the focus objective, which is more externally focused, that we want to win, we want to be the best, we need to serve our people and customers so well, then it's a different kind of mindset. Most of the organization, or many times the organization, when you see this in fighting, they're very internally focused, not focused on their customer, not focused on their people. On the contrary, in an army, the focus is outside. Focus is the winning against the enemy or winning at any cost.
So would you call it a leadership problem that we are not able to bring in that or take our teams together towards a common vision, common goal? I know it's difficult, but like we should at least try, right, to bring the entire team towards a common goal. If you are if you need to be a good leader, right? So
Yes, I agree. I agree. And you have to design that common vision and common goal ideally together with the team. And if you craft that powerful vision together with the team, then you have a buy-in from the team and you go out all together to make that vision realized. So it's just not having a vision. It cannot be a leader's vision only. It has to be a vision of the team, where the team should contribute. Of course, leaders should be leading that, but the team should contribute, and it would be a unified vision where everyone had a say. And if you're thinking, okay, you are saying this, but can it be done for 1,000 member or 10,000 member team? Yes, it is possible, and I have done it. So, and many times I've been able to do it the right way, many times not. So whenever I feel like I have done it the right way, involving the team, getting their buy-in, it worked wonders. And when I could not do that for whatever reason, it actually failed, and I own that failure as well.
so last question for you, sir. Give me names of, I do not want to put you on the spot, but if possible, answer this. Give me the names of top 5 leaders from various spheres of life. You can name anyone. Like not only from your organization or the organizations you have worked for, that you admire from various spheres of it. Can be politics, sports, philosophy, science, anybody. that you have admired all through your life? And currently, who do you think are the top five leaders in the world who have a vision to make changes for all of us, for humanity?
Wow, that's a very, very tough question. I'll start people I admire. Uh, I admire, of course, my parents. Whoever I am today is because of them, and I'm grateful to them. And the reason I'm saying that also because whatever I have seen, they are always focused. They had been focused on the students, and both of them are no more. They had been focused on the students, focused on the well-being of the family and the community. So I got a lot of great learning and the values from them. So I admire my parents. I admire Swami Vivekananda and Rabindranath Tagore. Swami Vivekananda because of like a whatever he did in a lifespan of 39 years. I still am amazed how someone can do it with a lifespan of 39 years. So much impact he created. Even today, 100 years after, that legacy and that impact is still felt. And same with Rabindranath Tagore. I keep thinking how he wrote so many poetries and prose and songs, novels. Unimaginable, unimaginable, and the kind of depth of those writing. Anytime we have anything, whether it's the joy or sorrow, change in season or anything, we always go back to Rabindranath Tagore and his creations. Uh, then, of course, some of the leaders I have worked with, uh, and I have been very fortunate to work with many of them, so I admire them. And each leader, I'm not going to say they are great or good. You can actually learn from each in different ways. So I admire them for their qualities. Uh, and you also asked who I believe are the creating a lot of or a difference to the world, something like that, right? With their vision, what they're doing. This is, I think, I would say, look, they may not be a great leader per se, but they are a great visionary. So there is a difference between a leadership. A leader needs to have a great vision, but not all the visionaries are great leaders. So I'll take the liberty of reframing your question in a different way. I'll I'll say a
Absolutely.
few names, but not as great leaders, as great visionaries. Okay, I believe some of the great visionaries in today's world is one is Elon Musk, and again that's why I kind of gave that kind of clarification. I don't think Elon Musk is a great leader, but he is a great visionary. In recent years, of course, Steve Jobs had been a great visionary. Bill Gates doing a lot of philanthropic work with the health and society with a great vision, right? I always, uh, and that's another one. Another person I forgot to mention, APJ Abdul Kalam. He was a great visionary and a great leader. Okay, I'm sure there are many more, but these are the top of my names coming to my mind. Okay,
Thank you for that. I mean, that was very open and honest. Not many people talk like that. So thank you for that. So the last 2, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever time you may want to take, if you want to tell us about your initiative that you are working on, uh, uh, and so that our viewers come to know about it, and if they are interested, how to contact you and how to enroll and get a pie from your experience, learn from you, and become a great leader in future. So if you want to share something.
sure. Thank you, Sudhir. So, as I said, my organization leader, Ian, we are focused on empowering and enabling mid-level career professionals, mid-career professionals. And why we are focusing on this segment? Because I see there is a lot of focus on the executive level. People are going for various leadership program in INSEAD, ISB, and where not. And there is a focus at the entry level, like for freshers. But there is not much focus at the mid management level, and many of them are left on their own to figure out how they want to develop their leadership capabilities, how they want to progress in their career. We, and that's our objective within Leaderian, we want to change that narrative. We want to empower the mid-career professionals so that they have more clarity from within, they are inspired within, so that they can lead with confidence. We have our flagship program, Rise 100. We have already close to 50 people going through that, and there it's a 4 to 5 months of transformative journey. So it's just not a 2 days leadership program. We're taking them on a transformative journey of 4 to 5 months, where they are going through a very structured program, starting with the self leadership. Because I believe, Sudhir, if someone cannot lead oneself, cannot lead others. So we start with the self leadership, then we build on that, putting personal brand, personal board of directors. Like a company has a board of directors, you can have your own personal board of directors, right? And they create a very strong leadership dashboard and foundation, and build on that further to do with their career acceleration roadmap for 100 days. And that 100 days, I coach them one on one. And we also focus on communicating for impact and influence, strategic networking, how to handle office politics, power game, strategic networking. We cover all that. And when the program is over, let's say 4 or 5 months, they're graduating out of the leadership academy, the Rise 100 Leaderian Leadership Academy. That's not the end of the journey. They become part of a Leaderian club. It's a network of all the like-minded people, including some of the senior leaders. They continue to network, they continue to stay in touch, and they continue to have access to Leaderian and me, so that they continue their journey and be successful in their life and career. So this is a very comprehensive program. People who are attending it now or attended, they are getting immense benefit. Number one, they are saying this is unlike any other leadership program, because no other leadership program goes to this much of depth in terms of transforming one's career and life. Second is the peer learning. Apart from learning from me, is the peer learning. And they are building their very strong network, and that network stays with the Leaderian club thereafter, and they are getting one-on-one coaching from me. So if anyone, whoever wants to sign up, we are recruiting now for. We are open for the November cohort of Rise 100. There are already quite a few people signed up. I think we have only 12 seats or 12 spots left as of today. So if you want to join, hurry up. We still have some early bird offer for next few, I think next 1 week. So you can go and find out more details at www.leaderian.in/rise100, or you can reach out to me, indronil@leaderian.in, and let's have a chat. It's your opportunity to make a difference to your career and take that leadership lead. So don't wait, start leading and join us in this transformation together. Let's make it happen.
I'm sure many people will, uh, after watching this video, will contact you and try to join you. So it has been a very wonderful and very thoughtful discussion with you. Thanks for your time, and it's been an honor and a privilege to have you on the show. And I really thank you for giving me your time, and I'm sure you will succeed and achieve more milestones with your new organization, Lidarian. And I will hand over to you for your last words, if any.
So first of all, Sudeep, I must thank you for inviting me. for your podcast. I feel privileged, feel honored, and it's a real pleasure. And the questions you asked, I must say, is really great. I love the challenge and the discussion here. And I felt that it also gave me an opportunity to grow from within, because the way you conducted this session, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I believe a lot of people would be benefited. So keep doing it, keep up the great job, and all the best to you, Shubhi.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.